Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And get your favorite drinks delivered today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, you like professional wrestling? Ah, we like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes for mid-October. I'm Jeff Hawkins, along with Chris Novembrino. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Jeffrey.
I was trying to think of something in the last 30 seconds of, hey, what's some small talk we could make? And all it's about is the self-assessment, which I hate. I still hate the self-assessment. I don't care how many times I do it. It's always, why don't you just tell me what I'm Gen X. So it's always, I come into work and I basically ask my boss what they think of me, as opposed to, well, here I am. I'm going to sell myself on all my greatness to you. And you're going to tell me whether or not I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, the self-assessment is just always dangerous. Right. Like it's a weird way for them to avoid actually having conversations about those topics with you, and instead using a rhetorical device to like act like they've had that conversation, but in a way where you can't actually have a discourse on it.
Yeah.
Even the whole passive response mechanism makes it just unfairly stacked against the employee.
It was either talking about my work life or the wormhole for this week that I went down in terms of learning subjects that I don't know a lot about, but I'm fascinated by. Craps, a table game.
Okay, what did you learn about craps this week?
Oh, I'm learning all about. I've learned that I was playing far too positive, and I should be playing the dark side of craps, really, because that's where the money's made, is being the jerk who bets against the table.
That makes sense. I mean, the house is.
Well, once you get the rollout, if you avoid the 7 there, you're good, because all the odds are on your side. It's the thing is, everybody wants to be friendly and stuff, and sometimes even Vegas almost encourages it by calling out people who play don't pass and don't come. Oh, dark side roller here, trying to make you the jerk about it, when really you're not in competition with anybody. You're in competition with the numbers that are being rolled, as opposed to the people. But it's all a work to get more money lost, and so you spend more in Vegas.
Interesting. So you need to go in and just basically play the dark side of the craps table.
That's what I'm going to do, I think. Or I'm going to find an empty table so I'm not like the buzzkill. Because I remember last time I was in Vegas, I'm going to Vegas in a month. It was one of those things where everybody was playing the pass line and they were playing odds, and it was a party, even if you lost and whatever. There's this one guy just kept throwing money on the don't pass. And everybody's just, oh, you're a party pooper, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this guy was correct. Because the chances of rolling a 7 after the rollout are much better than any other number on the board. So of course the odds are in your favor. And if you can hedge against the don't pass line come out. role. So yeah, shake them craps here.
Shake them
crap.
die was
Shake them
right
die.
there.
I was right there.
It was
and I
right
missed it.
there. Right there.
I apologize.
Jeez.
I'm so bad at this. Anyways, wrestling news, top story. If you were watching Dynamite, you'd know this. Hangman Adam Page suffered a concussion in the main event of Dynamite. He is going to be okay, but it was scary there for a few moments. He tweeted out on social media that he had a very nice panini the next day and that he will be okay. But of course, a little bit scary on a flip bump on a lariat there, Chris.
Yeah. Yes, a scary finish to the match. It obviously interrupted the flow of Dynamite. I applaud them for ending the match as opposed to trying to work around I guess you wouldn't be able to work around the incapacitated man like that one episode of Dark, I think it was, where that's essentially what they did.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, look, hey, growth, progress. We must applaud these things.
Although Taz wanted to dwell on it a little bit, and Excalibur was like, well, here's the rundown of the next week of shows.
I mean, the thing I think is interesting, I don't know what the finish of that match was supposed to be, but I actually like the stoppage as a finish for Adam Page better.
Yeah.
Than like Page gets pinned off of the Death Rider or whatever. I think it's more interesting that he just couldn't continue. And it did more in a way to make Moxley look dominant.
Yes.
This guy is so white hot right now that he can win title defenses on like sub finishing moves like the King Kong Lariat.
It was a happy accident. Let's put it that way. You never want to say, "Oh man, it was great that the guy got knocked out," and Paul Turner was absolutely fantastic in terms of seeing what had happened and stopping the match right away, as opposed to, "Hey, can you still go on?" Like you see in a lot of UFC referees sometimes let fights go on way too much longer than they should.
Old school WWF, got to finish it with a roll up.
Yes. Go home.
Go home.
But, in terms of something that, a negative that you can turn into a positive, it definitely will help you build Moxley as a champion, I think, in many ways as well. Not that I want to dismiss the importance of what happened, but at the same time, this is wrestling. This is a performance. Use it. I think that's a great idea, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I would never... I wouldn't say let's try to use these type of finishes more often.
No,
obviously,
no.
Don't use injury finishes too often.
Let's
but
work
like
people on that. It's like,
no, I wouldn't want to do that either. I think that's a little too much. But I do think there is a place for stoppages as finishes, and like this is actually, it was a good deployment of it. Obviously, I hope Paige gets well soon, and that's all I've really got to say on this.
Okay. Chris Jericho signed a new contract with AEW through early January 2026. Will also be taking on more responsibilities such as mentoring young talent and helping out with creative, et cetera, et cetera. But I find, at least in terms of the choice signings, we just re-signed Jon Moxley, who was the big get that was under contract with the other company. And we've now put all in on the guy who was available, who was the veteran get. It's interesting in the narrative. Let's put it that way. The people that Tony is starting to lean on now, especially in the aftermath of All Out.
Yeah. Well, when you're looking for a voice of reason, I think as you look up and down this roster, Chris Jericho would be the first person you'd think of. Is
that sarcasm?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, expound on that. I mean, other than politics, I mean, yeah, but his contributions to the business and his business acumen. Are you?
I don't think his booking sensibilities are all that great either,
okay.
Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
That's what I wanted. That's what I
no.
wanted
If you're
to hear.
looking, no, it's beyond that. Although I do think that matters. Is there some utility in a guy who can throw a party and have WWE guys intermingle with Tony Khan? Yeah, of course there is. Is there some utility to Jericho still in the ring? Yeah, there is. It as a management figure, no. And like, dude, talk as Jericho belies a boneheaded man far beyond just politics. like so
Like flat Earth stuff.
yeah, he managed to be on both sides of the coronavirus conspiracy spectrum at various points during the pandemic. Like, no, this is.
Okay, well,
this is just not a guy that I would use as the voice of reason.
Because it's obvious I'm recording this far too soon after work to understand sarcasm. Let me ask you this then. In terms of your inner circle, who do you want there more? Do you want Moxley and Jericho, or do you want Kenny and the Young Bucks?
I mean, between those two options,
Yes.
Moxley and Jericho.
Okay. That tells me all I need to know is that you would go as C, none of the above. I think in terms of
Yeah. I think obviously, Moxley needs to have a much bigger role in this company. He's consistent. He's extremely consistent. Okay. I'm not saying I've made it clear he's not my favorite match in the world, but he is a great promo. He has great fan connection. In the big spots, John Moxley delivers. I think he, by and large, understands put the barbed wiry sort of stuff to the side, right? Like the actual Moxley sensibilities about what makes a good pro wrestling match that doesn't involve plunder and stuff. I think it's more or less spot on with where the times are right now, in a way that I wouldn't say it is with Chris Jericho. Look at the deadline. It's an anachronism in 2022. I don't trust this man's instincts when it comes to booking.
I will give the devil his due. He is grabbing the bag at his age, and that is somewhat amazing. You have to expect that he got paid a nice little sum of money to stick around, as opposed to, and Jericho very much would, jump at the chance to go back to WWE for another run and take their money. Good morning, get paid. I tweeted every morning, wake up. He got paid. Congratulations.
No, but you know who I would compare him to? This is an old school sports reference. Kurt Thomas, veteran power forward / center who played on a bunch of different teams, most notably the San Antonio Spurs in the aughts. Okay. He was on a bunch of those championship teams. He was doing this up to 41 or 42. I think, do you get Kurt Thomas for a veteran's minimum? Sure. You don't massively overpay Kurt Thomas and put him into management.
Would it also, would Udonis Haslem also be a good comparison?
Haslam was a poor man's Kurt Thomas.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to fight me on that, you can fight me on that. You can fight me on that.
Yes, we'll have shake them sports battles. Later.
Shake them balls is what we're here talking about.
It was right there, and I just didn't see
right
that
there.
Either. Yeah,
shake them balls.
Oh, I'm just failing every aspect of hosting today. Ace Steel, real name Chris Guy, was released on October 17th, stemming from the brawl on 9/4 after All Out, where he allegedly hit Nick Jackson in the face with a chair and bit Kenny Omega in helping CM Punk, who had punched Matt Jackson. This is Dave Meltzer writing how this went down. Lucy Guy, his wife, who was backstage with a broken foot taking care of CM Punk's dog Larry, was never spoken with regarding the investigation. AEW is in talks with Punk about the future, but right now it looks doubtful he will be back. Those with close knowledge of the situation said they are in talks with Punk about a buyout of the remaining years of his contract, which tells you that they are not looking to bring him back. The holdup right now is said to be the non-compete period. Now, let's play detective here and cui bono. Who benefits? Because there's only 3 people who are leaking this kind of information in terms of this buyout thing, Chris. It's either good faith, and in that terms, I'd say a certain Chris Harrington, perhaps, possibly. Tony Khan himself, because he wants some leverage or something like that. Or one of the members of the elite, probably. I don't think Punk is saying, you know what, my hang up right now is my buyout. Maybe. I don't know. But that little piece of information to me is made to make Punk look bad here, in that, oh, he just wants to go back to WWE where he'd make money or something like that. I don't know. Am I reading too much into that? Did that piece of information just kind of go, huh, okay.
I mean, there's that, and then there's the we didn't speak to Ace Steele's wife, who seems to me to be like the only non-adrenalized human in that room, and so you might want to actually get a version of events from her.
I will bring this up. I brought this up to you before the show, but I will take the scorn and fury of many a listener of Shake Them Ropes. Just because Punk is the one that they're looking to get rid of does not necessarily mean Punk was the bad guy in this entire situation.
I know. I think there are a lot of fans who will never be able to make the moral distinction between this person was let go, ipso facto, this person is the bad person.
Yes.
And I think it's very obvious to me that, like, sometimes these are business decisions are not moral decisions. And I think a lot of the same people might know that as well.
Yes. Punk is the path of least resistance, because you'll know nobody was fired in this whole Andrade Sammy or Eddie Kingston Sammy situations. It's obvious to me.
Which admittedly is a problem for the backdrop of all of this.
A little bit.
It admittedly is a huge problem for the backdrop of all of this, because now you have an incident that came after this with a judgment already rendered.
Yeah. And let's get rid of the elephant in the room here. I think a lot of this has to do with the locker room would be very upset if you kept the guy who doesn't like Colt Cabana. And they like Colt Cabana a lot in the locker room. I'm not saying that Punk wasn't a jerk. I'm not saying that Punk didn't say some things that might have rubbed people the wrong way. But
I mean, who among us does not delight at the brand of comedy that Colt Cabana brings to us?
Okay, but yeah, I get
on Dark Elevation, Jeffrey.
On our
random house shows in Paducah, Illinois. This man puts smiles on the faces of literally dozens.
If your choice is cutting Punk or cutting the Bucks and Omega, you're going to cut Punk. Chris, I am of the opinion that in the short term, Punk was more money than Omega and the Bucks. I know some people are going to say, what are you talking about? They can't put on as good a match with Punk as they can with Omega and the Bucks. I didn't say that. I said you draw more money with Punk in the short term than you do with Omega and the Bucks, because Punk can talk and the other two really don't in some ways. They can put on a super match. You can have a Forbidden Door super card type thing and put them on there and, this will be a match of the year candidate. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for box office and for media and other things, in the next 2 years, who would I rather have? Punk. In the next 5 years, who would I rather have? Maybe the Elite.
Yeah, but I mean, it would very much for me be maybe the Elite still.
Okay.
Because
we've seen the ceiling though for Kenny as champ.
Right. That's the thing for me. Yeah. Right. It's that, I think I would roll the dice on ride the CM Punk train until his knees fall apart or something. Because I feel like that we're ultimately going to this man's career ends in injuries in his early to mid 40s.
But let me.
But I would ride the pony on that for longer. I mean, I think you got more mileage in CM Punk on commentary, and this is a thing that like he has always seemed interested in doing. And I feel like if the money was right, and you gave him like a meaningful commentary role, he'd sink his teeth into that, and that would be interesting in a way that Kenny nor Matt nor Nick Jackson could ever deliver on. You can't put those guys in a booth and have them be a draw like that.
Let me temper my statement with this, because I know that this will be and it's a legitimate talking point. It's a legitimate argument. Well, they never really pushed the Elite as the top act in AEW, but that was their choice. That was the choice of the Elite and Kenny to not come in and be the big belt holders, and to give other guys a chance and other things like that. That was a choice. And right now, I think you've actually passed the window where they would be the top act in professional wrestling. I'm going to be honest. I think they'd be a top act, but the top act, no. I still think Moxley is much bigger. I think Page is a much bigger act, even though he might be lumped in there with the Elite, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Page is a bigger act.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Now you say that, I kind of think he is. Like, he's got more upside. He's like 10 years younger than those guys. He has at least as strong a fan connection here stateside as Omega. I mean, Omega more internationally for sure. Yeah.
In terms of growing AEW stateside and to take on WWE, I would, yeah. I don't think putting Omega and the Bucks at the top of AEW as the main guys is going to grow as much as you think it is. Right now, I just don't. But that'll be argued on message boards everywhere.
No, this might be like the forever debate that gets shut down after 25,000 glorious pages.
Yes,
on F4W. But I think, at least to me, like, there's a lot of intrigue in like a heel CM Punk going up against a babyface Adam Page, who is like really livid that all of his friends are gone from basically the implication, not necessarily bringing up the friends, but like, you've ruined AEW would be as the narrative to CM Punk. No, lead into it. You got the AEW. You've got the AEW stands who are already there. Like,
no, I'm not going to do that.
No. You're supposed to yes and this. That's the rules of improv. Whatever.
I already have people who hate me in our own Discord. So.
Ooh, yeah. No. Now you're catching up to me. People are starting to not like you now.
People have never liked me. Chris, I got news for you. Day one canceled. No pay-per-view for WWE now planned between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. To which I say, good. Build the Rumble. Get away from Vince-isms and having a big event in the middle of something that should be very important. Royal Rumble is the quote-unquote first stop on the road to WrestleMania. Let's keep it that way, as opposed to starting the year with a half-assed pay-per-view that's going against college football because Vince doesn't believe in college football. I'm serious. He doesn't believe in college football. Why would people want to watch that at all?
They're just children. They're just children playing sports.
Yes. They're just teenagers going out there and playing sports. It's not like it's the NFL or anything. But yeah, day one gone. Thank goodness. Interesting. We have to backtrack on a note we made last week and a conversation we thought was interesting. Karl Anderson, double booked for November 4th. Anderson has publicly said he was double booked, gave a kayfabe excuse that New Japan never emailed his quote-unquote agent, Luke Gallows, who handles his bookings on the date, and that was just meant as a comedy response. He said he would be appearing on Crown Jewel instead, which is also the same night he was supposed to quote-unquote defend his never openweight championship. Surprisingly, New Japan has of yet not acknowledged this statement, and Anderson versus Hikuleo is still on the show, although based on its usual protocol, it would be expected they will acknowledge it very soon. It would look bad for that promotion's honesty to advertise the match more than a day or two after this. Oh, Dave. New Japan, you poor child.
God, no, here's the thing, Jeffrey. Here's the thing. What is wrestling without the honesty?
You know, it's about ethics in professional wrestling.
And the rules.
Does nobody care about the rules anymore?
No, I'm glad that there's that rejoinder at the end of the article. Thank you. I am, because someone needs to take a stand.
New Japan had been
no.
under the impression
Yeah.
Anderson would return and work out his dates and lose the title. WWE had even on the air acknowledged Anderson holds a title in New Japan.
Get it together, New Japan. For the industry's sake.
Well, interesting you say that, Chris, because I'm going to bring this follow-up and see what you have to say about that. WWE contacted AEW to use Billy Gunn in their DX reunion that aired at the end of Monday Night Raw.
Oh, you don't say. I feel like there's a prediction on some show that I heard about something like that happening.
Well, Tony Khan, in return, asked that WWE television acknowledge that Billy Gunn worked for AEW in response. And WWE passed. Now, here's my question. Did they just have this DX reunion just to see if they could get Billy Gunn from AEW and they'd relent? Because that's an interesting story to me more than, oh, WWE tried and Tony gave a condition, and then WWE, being meanies, decided they weren't going to use the AEW talent. You know, that talking point where I'm just like, no, you try and then you walk away because you know they're going to say no, because there are a lot of people who are like, well, they never should have asked because you know WWE would never treat him correctly and all kind of
well,
stuff.
yeah, and like here's the thing, that DX segment at the end of the show was such a tightly wound clock of a segment that just injecting Billy Gunn into it could have thrown off the whole chemistry.
Oh, it was dreadful. Everything about wrestling this week was almost dreadful except for MJF. WWE this week trademark Deadline looks to be the next title of an NXT Premium Live event that will happen, get this, on the same day as Ring of Honor Final Battle, but at a different time. And also of interest is that this NXT Premium Live event is expected not to take place at the Performance Center. So that means they're going to try and sell an arena with NXT again, which is an interesting foot in the water. And also do it on the same day as Ring of Honor's premium pay-per-view. And Tony Khan was on saying that he might have good news on this pay-per-view about a weekly Ring of Honor show, Chris. That's not called Rampage.
No, I thought it was called Dynamite.
You know, this grudge will continue. I'll read this next one. I'll get your thoughts. But on Tuesday, AEW did 752,000 viewers with a 0.26 in the 18 to 49 demo and 0.20 in 18 to 34. NXT did 676,000 viewers with 0.18 in the 18 to 49 and 0.10 in the 18 to 34.
Yikes.
Now, granted, there were two postseason baseball games.
Yeah.
It was the opening night of the NBA.
Yeah.
And it was a night that was different for AEW. I will make all these excuses.
Yup.
That said, that Yankee game before AEW did a monster number. And a lot of people's narrative is, oh, look, AEW kicked NXT's ass. And maybe they did. But at the same time, my narrative
They've routed them by far greater numbers in the past. This is like a closing of the gap, if anything.
A little bit. I think that's true too. I think look, as much as people want AEW to quote unquote win over Team McMahon, and trust me, I get that feeling. Wrestling isn't cool. I think that's the statement we're getting out of this, because everybody would rather watch a meaningless opening night game of the NBA of the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on
yeah, it's always a
Minnesota
possibility
Timberwolves.
that wrestling's just not hot.
Yes. And that's what I took out of this, is that wrestling isn't hot. And NXT, they brought a bunch of main roster people on there to help. It's like, yeah, but did they really plug it other than on Raw the previous night?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, you're saying this to AEW fans who are supposed to be the smarter. Like, they've seen that before. They know what that entails. It shouldn't be, I mean, I don't know. Like, look, Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez, an intriguing pairing, but you're not like sitting there thinking, oh, this is a main event program. It's not that. It's not that. That's it's not. I mean, I don't overread these numbers, but I certainly have a hard time looking at this as a successful experiment for AEW.
Everybody wants this to be McDonald's versus Burger King, and really it's Joe's Burger Shack versus Craig's Burger Shack down the road. And you're just like, it's just two small little niches of entertainment battling it out with one another. That's all it is, with guys who own billions behind it, be it stockholders or Tony Khan. And it's just I guess it's an interesting horse race to people who are in wrestling media. It's just not to me at times. I mean, it's if it were a hotter product, it would be, but it's not. So yeah, I don't get it. But any other thoughts on any of these stories?
No.
Then tell us, please, about HelloFresh.
Okay, so people, we talked earlier about honesty. It matters. It matters. So listen to your boy Novi right now. Let's have a little candid moment, shall we? What is HelloFresh, you ask me? With HelloFresh, you're going to get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy. It doesn't have to be a struggle anymore. Fun and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. I wouldn't lie to you about that. Subscribe to HelloFresh and check that annoying box that says save money off of your fall to-do list. HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than the takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping. 2. Time to cozy up and save money by cooking at home. Fall was the perfect time to experience the delicious taste and unparalleled convenience of HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, ingredients travel from the farm, a farm near you, to your doorstep in less than 7 days. So you know they're fresh. There's no lies there. This isn't New Japan lying to you. No. You'll have pre-portioned ingredients to make cooking a snap and cut down on food waste. No more lies. Jeffrey and I once had an experience with HelloFresh.
Oh, okay.
As the kids say, Jeffrey, as the kids say, no cap. And we loved it. We enjoyed our time with HelloFresh. Sometimes, Jeff, I look back on those days wistfully. And I wonder, will it ever be that good again? Well, it could be. If I went to HelloFresh.com/VOW65 and used the code VOW65 for 65% off plus free shipping. They're not going to charge you for shipping. No more shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/VOW65. No more shipping. No more lies. No more shipping.
Okay.
Now there is only love and promo code VOW65. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
I'd like to thank Bill Clinton for his great read of the HelloFresh copy. That was fantastic stuff. And now, the lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we watched, whatever we want to talk about amongst all the shows that played currently or are in the history of the entire professional wrestling business. If you decide to watch history this week. I didn't, but Chris might have. We're going to talk about that now. Chris, shall we get the Halloween Havoc preview out of the way first?
Yes.
Or actually, no.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, fine.
I'm sorry. I just
had my hopes up.
Well, I know, but the MJF promo was just so damn good.
No, he
bypass that.
He's fantastic.
For Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic.
No more lies, Chris. I can't bypass
no
that
more lies.
in good faith.
No more lies.
Because this is one of the best things in the history of stuff. And yes, again, it's another great MJF as the villain origin promo. Are we going to have certain stages, every stage of his young career, someone will have wronged him and he's going to become a better heel because of it. But he came out there and this was number one. rang true to me because I've had a situation like this with a television producer who wrote the nastiest mail to me I've ever received, and I kept it all these years. And while I wasn't a successful television writer, it did motivate me to try hard in my career. Trust me, so I could shove it in their face.
No, it was very real for me too. My incident happened when I was closer to MJF's age, where an older individual in their 40s just really shat on me, and create a real crisis of friggin' confidence about this whole music thing. Mine
was you're the most arrogant person who has ever contacted me. And I went, and everybody who knows me goes, you? I go, yeah, me, the most self-deprecating, low self-esteem person who ever lived, possibly was being arrogant. No, I was trying to, it was that point where it's like, yeah, I'm going to sell my abilities. You're arrogant. Screw you. I'm going to tell people never to hire you, that kind of thing. And you're just like, all I was a 22-year-old kid who didn't know anything about showbiz. And you absolutely use that to crush my dreams. Thank you very much.
No, but this was great. Yeah. MJF's part was great, but then also William Regal's part was great too.
I had a quibble on Regal's part, but I want to hear your thoughts on this.
You could certainly quibble on it, but I think what made it so good is the first beat of it almost felt like he was going to go into the boomer trope of back in my day, we walked uphill both ways sort of stuff, right? But then he did something in the performance there and in the delivery there where it didn't go into that. It's like, no, I'm like just old. I know what you're talking about. It was even worse for me. Like you have chosen to make to wear this as like a talisman of rage to justify all your awfulness. But you need to understand that like you actually have had a setback. What happened to you hurt. But like part of life and, for lack of a better term, adulting is like really awful stuff is going to happen to you. And like, it's not going to even be justified, but like part of learning to be an adult, God knows I'm learning this lesson right now, is learn how to process stuff that you didn't initiate on yourself and stay positive about it.
Yeah, you are sometimes a part of somebody else's storm. Is that right? Sometimes teach it in religious terms. The only quibble I had really was, and I went over this on the Dynamite show, was I didn't like the smiling of Regal.
Okay.
I thought it upstaged a bit. I thought it was borderline. It might be corpsing because I smile when somebody's yelling at me because I get nervous. So I thought it might be a nervous ticking away, but I thought it might have been a lack of focus on Regal's part because I think he should have been taking in the words a little bit more, as opposed to.
I would have liked to see him trying to remember, like I would have liked to seen the eyes say, I remember sitting at my computer writing that.
As opposed to, yes, I did that, and it was to spurn you on. That was what the smile looked like to me, and I was just like, no, that rings a little false. But once he got into the promo, he got the right tone, and I liked that. It was just that visual of him almost watching, going, egging him on, going, yes, keep doing it. And if he was going to go that way, I would have wanted the point at the chin and say, okay, hit me, because that's what you want to do. You either have to go harder into that, or you have to reduce your or you have to rethink your reaction to what he's saying to you. So from an acting
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. Music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And get your favorite drinks delivered today.
Standpoint, I kind of had a, but that, and it's just a minor quibble because it was an outstanding segment all the way around. Before anybody think, oh, Jeff hated that. No, loved it. Best thing I saw on TV all week. Loved it.
It's just real interesting. It's like, does this, if they continue with the Moxley MJF program, do you turn Moxley?
No, here's what I think. Because of the whole thing where I'm going to do this the right way this time, et cetera, et cetera. I think Regal turns on the Blackpool Combat Club. I think Regal turns on Moxley, goes with MJF. And I also think, and this is an idea I put out there just from watching everybody's reactions to both programs. I think this is, there was a stable rumored to be happening in the mid-90s called Apocalypse. To be an anti-horseman, and it was going to be Regal, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and I believe either Jericho or Malenko. I can't remember which. It might have been either one of the at any time. I think we get Garcia and Yuta, and I think we have a heel young lion stable against all these quote-unquote stars type thing under the tutelage of William Regal. That's what it feels like to me, at least.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I definitely, I feel like a swerve is coming here.
Yes.
But and I don't mean with Keith Lee, but yes.
Indubitably.
Yeah. God. I like him, but if this dynamic between Swerve as a character and Keith as a character this many weeks in is absolutely incoherent.
It's preposterous. Either Keith condones the bad behavior,
right,
or he's going to join in on it. It's one of those two things. He
right.
can't keep himself separate from it.
No, there's like this weird moral high ground BS that he keeps doing, and it's like, no, like you can't swerve in as your black hand to do a menace. Like, it's ridiculous. It's very silly. So
let's do Halloween Havoc then.
Okay.
6 matches, premium live event on Saturday. I don't know how widely it'll be watched. There are some intriguing matches to me, at least on this. In terms of on paper, it looks like it could be a fun show. I'm not going to deny it because they got a lot of their best on this show. So we'll see what Chris thinks of it. But 6 matches announced, starting with Apollo Crews versus Grayson Waller in a spin the wheel, make the deal match. Stipulation to be determined. What have you thought of this whole Grayson Waller Apollo Crews program? Because it's bordering on the I like Grayson Waller a lot. I know he can talk. I like his cockiness, and I like Apollo Crews a lot. But the dream stuff has been preposterous to me.
Yeah, the dream stuff,
the bleeding eye stuff. It's like, okay.
It just isn't working. And it doesn't, even the in-house crowd just doesn't seem to be going with it. So I don't know who the eye stuff is for, but I'm guessing what we're going to see, whatever, they're going to wrap up the spooky ooky stuff with Apollo Crews would be my suspicion. Who do I think wins? I'm going to say Grayson Waller wins.
I think somehow one of these dreams comes true because of the stipulation and somebody ends up with a bloody eye, I guess. Since Apollo Crews already had it, I guess Grayson Waller ends up with it. I'll go the other way. I think Apollo Crews wins this, even though I don't think he should necessarily.
Okay.
Moving on, Julius Creed versus Damon Kemp in an ambulance match. If Julius loses, Brutus Creed will have to leave NXT. Huh. Okay, so I got to remind myself who is who in terms of the Creed brothers.
Brutus is the shorter, stockier one. Julius is the one who talks.
Okay.
He's the taller one.
That thank you. That helps things a lot. I'll go first on this. I expect Roddy Strong to have been in on this the entire time. I would not be shocked if Brutus Creed was in on this the entire time either. Although I love the Creed brothers as an act, and I think they should stay together.
You just need that A2 Brute moment, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Look, Roman history, very important to me. I need or Shakespeare.
I was just saying it's more Shakespeare, but yeah.
Thank you.
But yes,
no, we're gonna have the entirety of Chase U. With
the only reason why this that would be hilarious. A reenactment of this. God. Under the graduation ropes.
Yes, exactly. They're all graduating from Chase U, and then they all stab Julius Creed in the middle of the match. It'll be great.
No, the only reason you can't do the A2 Brute thing is that, like, it wouldn't make any sense. So, like, Brutus cost Julius the match, but then Brutus has to leave NXT.
Yes, that's completely preposterous. You only get that kind of action in NXT, to be honest with you. It's the more interesting choice for Julius to lose and for Brutus to have to leave.
It is.
And maybe Brutus comes back under a mask or something. He's like the new Midnight
But we've
Rider.
also now introduced in that promo that Damon Kemp's got a brother, Gable Steves. Yeah, and so, like...
Maybe Gable Stevenson causes the loss.
It's Stevenson, and he might.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Stevenson could very well cause the loss here. But I tend to think... I'm going to go the other way. I say Julius wins here. We get the Stevenson debut at the end of the match here. Okay. And what we're building to is a tag team match that'll be an absolute banger for these two young...
As long as Gable can work in a pro wrestling sense. We know he has mad athletic skills, but in a this is going to be Steiner's versus Varsity Club.
No, if he can work at all. And let's not bury the lead on Damon Kemp either, because Damon Kemp... I enjoy this guy. He's got a fully formed freaking character. And Julius does too. Like it was so fun watching this promo this week because it's like, this is what NXT in my mind is supposed to be. Yeah. Young guys who don't have a name yet, who are both clearly talented, finding themselves on the microphone in the ring. And like, this is the joy of watching developmental wrestling. It was watching a segment like Julius Creed and Damon Kemp, at least for me.
I actually like Brutus Creed's charisma too. I know people, Julius is the talker.
No,
he has that he's trying way too hard type of charisma, and I love it. I absolutely adore it.
No, and I love them too as like meathead brothers. They're great.
Like the Duke and their meatheads. That's just irony all the way around. Roxanne Perez versus Cora Jade in a spin the wheel make the deal match. The stipulation being weapons wild. I gotta go on this Roxanne Perez kick right now because again, I have said here for weeks, you need to protect her. You need to protect her. You need to protect her. What do? We put her on SmackDown in a 6-woman tag with just that. Oh, well, if you watched NXT, you knew she'd be showing up on SmackDown, but they don't say who she is other than she's on SmackDown. No video package, no introduction for your intro onto the main roster to these main roster fans where only a third of them watch NXT, et cetera, and then she loses. She takes the fall in the 6-woman's tag match, and then on NXT on Tuesday, takes the fall to Rhea Ripley. This is how we're building up this match for Roxanne Perez versus Cora Jade, which is a blood feud, is to have Roxanne Perez lose until the blow off. It's preposterous.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're not taking good care of Roxanne Perez.
No.
I don't think any of this is fatal yet, but like it's nothing to be proud of. This is just not good booking.
Yeah, I would agree. And Roxanne Perez has to take this match, in my opinion.
Yes. Cora Jade, it just is not.
Why is she a heel? It's killing me that she's a heel when it's like she was one of the most likable baby faces you had.
There's just no menace to this little person. No, I'm sorry.
I've known people like Cora Jade who were menacing. She ain't menacing. Okay. Yes. She doesn't have that certain tinge of evil in her.
Evil or maybe undiagnosed mental illness that manifests.
Well, I didn't want to go there because I don't want to make fun of people with mental illness necessarily, but I mean. Six of one, half a dozen of the other. Chris, yes.
No, yes. I too have known the type who looks like Cora Jade, has the same size and body dimensions as Cora Jade, and absolutely evokes a sense of, I am concerned for my safety. This person might actually be very dangerous.
Have you ever dated that kind, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Because you see, I like girls with tattoos, Jeffrey.
Oh, we went a little bit too far down the rabbit hole on that one.
No,
Anyway.
we didn't. Everything's good. The healing is happening.
In a ladder match for the vacant NXT North American Championship, Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams versus Oro Mensah, aka Bootleg Kofi, versus Wesley versus Nathan Frazier versus Charisma Vacuum Von Wagner to catch them all. This is going to be small guys doing a lot of acrobatic stuff off of ladders match, with the exception of Von Wagner, who, again, is there to catch these small men falling at great speeds to show his strength. And I like Von Wagner because I like his father. And
I like Von Wagner because I just think he's
starting to get charisma. He's starting to get weird charisma.
His promos are hilarious, Jeff.
Yes,
yes. The way this man talks, I would pay small amounts of money to watch him read scenes from movies and try to act them out. Important, like Top Gun, Few Good Men, like you want the truth. You cannot handle the truth.
Okay, so Von Wagner for you is what Kiana James is for me. In that I will now be watching everything that she and her Brazilian secretary do as a 90s porn movie without the sex. That's what Kiana. So okay, so we both have a guilty pleasure in NXT.
Like nothing would make me happier than if Rey Mysterio came down and feuded with Von Wagner, and we could just get promos between those two for like a month.
Oh, we need that. We need that.
No, it'd be great. Like the booking of the match makes sense, right? It's classic big guy versus little guy.
I want to see the locker room interaction though between Von Wagner and Rey Mysterio. So bad.
Wow. So you're Rey Mysterio, huh? Yes, it is me. I am Rey Mysterio.
I have a son named Dominic.
Have you seen my son?
Anyways, Carmelo Hayes gets his belt back is what I would do here.
Oh, you think Carmelo's getting it a third time? He might very well. Yeah.
Unless he's getting moved up, which is a possibility.
No, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say he doesn't get his belt back because this is a really good way of screwing him out of his belt. Like for a heel. I'm going to say Wagner wins.
Okay. Go with that. Mandy Rose, presumably with Toxic Attraction, against Alba Fire, the artist formerly known as Kaylee Ray, for the NXT Women's Championship.
I think Mandy retains here.
I think Alba Fire might be joining Damage Control because there have been pushes for it. So I will say Mandy Rose also. Mandy Rose retains. Alba Fire gets called up to the main roster to try and reignite Damage Control, which needs to control its damage right now because it's a stable that is flailing for relevancy, and it makes me sad. And then in a triple threat match for the NXT title, Braun Breaker versus Ilya Dragunov versus JD McDonough, who just absolutely got buried by Kevin Owens.
God, did he ever? My Lord.
Nobody wants to see you here.
No. How about the don't Google me?
Don't Google. Oh, yeah, that.
Don't Google me. Oh my goodness. God.
Yes.
Like, JD McDonough's got enemies.
If he didn't go to the back and try at least throw a punch, I'll be very disappointed about that. Not that he didn't deserve that. Don't Google me.
No, he's earned that. He's earned he's earned the rep. I mean, he also would have been in the right though to want to, have words with Owens about doing that at that time. I mean, that was you know, that was Adam Page, you know, union talk promo
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Yeah,
You're a
like,
locker room cancer. Okay.
just out of nowhere. I mean, look, I don't agree with this company's decision to keep some of these dudes who have like very clear problems around. But like the reality is they did. Owens was not a team player there, even though it was funny. I'm gonna say Breaker retains.
I will as well by pinning the aforementioned JD McDonough, I think. And then eventually we'll get an Ilya Dragunov match in there. But yes, that'll be Halloween Havoc. There's time. I'll watch it on Saturday. If not, I'll watch it throughout the week, especially if it gets good buzz. Chris, it is your turn on the Lazy River to pick something.
Man, let us mosey along back to, I guess we'll do Dynamite here. We've already done the main event. We did the kind of closeout on that. Dalton Castle and Chris Jericho was fine, you know.
Dalton Castle's about 8 years too late.
Yeah. It really, it doesn't it doesn't really hit as a fresh idea right now, does it?
I loved his entrance. And actually this match brings me into another point I had, and I'll get into that in a moment. The match itself, pretty great.
His entrance is wonderfully executed.
Yes,
It's what like, and in particular, no, like just with the boy when he does the final kind of prestige at the end. No, like really, really wonderfully executed. It just
and
doesn't.
He's a very good wrestler as well.
Yes, yes, he
not
is.
deny that.
Yes, he is.
I mean, because for all the gimmick and stuff, he has great suplexes. He's very, very strong. He would be Orange Cassidy if Orange Cassidy were not in this company.
That's an interesting comp. Yes. If anything, the entrance sort of like it lures you in to the fact that like this guy is actually an exceptionally good wrestler.
Yes, it's almost like he's being a dandy at times to belie the fact of his toughness. Here's the note I'm gonna go, and this is a cross show promotional thing about heel color commentators. Taz basically buried Castle here a little bit in the match when he needed to elevate Dalton Castle. He was saying, well, he shouldn't be wasting time doing his weird dancing stuff or whatever he was or trying to get the crowd going or something to that effect. But Dalton Castle hasn't been a presence enough on AEW television to be doing that. He's a guy from ROH who people know, but in terms of, remember, wrestling is all about conditioning. And so here I think Taz needed to put over his talent versus crushing on the gimmick a little bit here. And this brings me to JBL, who is a damn menace whenever you give him the microphone. He walks in there, he buries your new play-by-play guy. Basically, borderline, I mean, we can have an argument about whether or not you think Irish is a race, but xenophobia, at least, about the Irish and making Irish jokes the entire time coming in there. Look, the heel color commentator only works in a situation, and it worked for years. And part of the reason we're doing it now is because of WWE's influence on professional wrestling the past 25 years. Before WWE became the main game in town, and there were other things, most regional promotions and other promotions kind of played it as a straight sports type thing, and you'd occasionally have the guest heel on there doing commentary to say stuff. But what WWE did is they made the play-by-play such a biased in favor of baby faces type of play-by-play guy that you needed the heel color commentator to balance that, and it made for a good straight absurd scene. The problem is Kevin Patrick is not an over-the-top homer for baby faces just yet. He has not been established that as such. So JBL coming in here and being a bull in a china shop and just absolutely being a jerk on commentary to everybody and everything because he feels Booker T does this a lot too. And it drives me nuts. He didn't do it this week on NXT, luckily, but it's one of those things where we need to calm down on the heel color commentator if the babyface is just playing it straight and calling the action.
I mean, but that you sort of got into the problem with JBL right at the core, right? One, he really just in this particular case with Kevin Patrick, you nailed it. Maybe not racism, but like, how about stereotypes,
xenophobia, that.
Xenophobia. Yeah. Like, and then there's also the fact that JBL really only has one note to his song, especially at this point. There's just not a lot going on there. I really question the call of bringing this guy back. I see just no utility in this.
I hope it's not permanent. I get the
Me
feeling
too.
It's gonna be. He brings, although irony is, of course, that he latched on to Corbin, who has the same energy. The problem is, as much as we don't like Baron Corbin's television personality, Baron Corbin seems like a fairly solid dude. Otherwise, he plays the act very, very well.
No, he seems like a solid dude.
Yes.
And he's a perfectly safe match.
Yes.
But
compared to JBL especially.
I know it, right. So I'll put it this way: I'm not making a character assessment on Corbin based on the association with JBL. I don't think it will help Corbin go to the next phase in his talking and characterization that he is going to need to go to sort of like stand out. And I certainly don't think that JBL on a microphone adds much of anything.
I don't God, I hope he's not on Raw next week. Not Corbin, but JBL. I hope this is just a Texas, Oklahoma type thing. And we don't need to see him every week because he's I could see WWE looking at this and saying this is the answer to a hotter program is to have sniping and a color commentator who says edgy things and, ooh, did you hear what he said the other night? Ooh, that'll get buzz, that kind of thing. I don't think it's going to work. That's just me. Your turn, sir.
All right. I guess I will do Man, Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida was a fine match.
I enjoyed this.
This is a fine. No, I here's my only note on this. Just a hard one to really sink your teeth into because you just never thought for a second Shida was going to win this match.
Right. No,
fine match. It just it really felt like I was just it was very pleasant to watch. Even though I was like, oh, there's nothing. It felt like a waiting room, but a nice one, right? Like you're just passing through here. There's nothing of note that's going to happen here news wise, but like it was a very pleasant waiting room. Is what it was for me.
Well, it was, but at the same time, it was like it also. Once you get to the post match, it feels like, oh, that was just a waste of time because Shida is gone the moment she gets pinned. She's out of there to make up for the fact that Paige is going to come out and run into Britt Baker, who's out there, doing her, trolling the Cincinnati crowd with the Pittsburgh jersey, which I appreciated. But this was all to set up people other than those in the match. So you get Paige out or Saraya. Sorry, I called her by her WWE name. Saraya out there being on Britt, and you get Hayter and Rebel team up on Tony Storm to then bring back Riho.
Oh God!
Rio pulls a Jeff Hardy. Decides she has to wave to the crowd before carefully running down to make the save in her pretty dress.
Well, yeah, she doesn't want to like break her leg on the way down the ramp.
Yes. I know that AEW fans love Riho. My opinion on Riho is the same as Bret Hart about Ric Flair.
4 out of 10?
No. Is that once you've seen the Riho match, that's it. Pretty much. I mean, she'll do the Matrix escape out of the pin. She'll do the I'll jump off the top rope onto Jamie Hayter, who will throw her legs out from under her. She'll play the hits, and she's well liked because I believe if she's not Kenny's girlfriend, she used to date Kenny. I don't know what the status of that is, but she was a world champion in here. People love Riho. I think the Joshi and the real athlete thing still don't mix quite a bit. quite as well as people want it to. But yeah, so we basically excused Hikaru Shida later for Rio here.
Yeah, the Riho return reminded me of all my feelings about Riho. Yeah,
And those are
this act decidedly does not do it for me.
okay. I mean, I like Yugo Sakazaki better than I like Rio. But...
No, I like Maki Ito more than I like
okay.
Riho. If I'm being just completely honest, I enjoy Maki Ito more than I enjoy Riho. So no, I just, she came out and she was doing all of her high flying stuff, and it just, she doesn't. We were saying like menace and evil earlier with like Cora Jade, and I don't need like menace with this person, but like I need it to look like when she does a cross body that like it should actually take the other person over.
Yes.
And there's just
there's
no.
There's a little Ralph Wiggum to Rio.
Yeah.
I'm in danger.
I'm coming off the top rope.
I'm coming off the top rope. Yeah, that kind of thing. You know, like when Io Shirai does it, she's crazy. So it's her cup of crazy when she's climbing up to the top rope, putting a trash can over herself and throwing herself at a bunch of women. Okay, you can excuse that with Rio. It's like, tee hee hee, I'm climbing the top rope. You know, that kind of, you're just like, okay, whatever.
And then I continue to, I hate the fact that like in this company, they do multiple storylines around a title at once. But there's always one, but the one that actually matters is not the main one that's in focus. So like with the world title, right? Like it's MJF versus Moxley, but we had this whole like Page and Moxley thing that you just really didn't think there was a chance Page was going to win this title because it was being outshined by the MJF thing. And like, it's the same there with Tony Storm. Like the Sheeta match, just Tony doesn't even feel like the main character in her own story, and she's the champion.
There's a weird, almost WWE show must go on to the feuds here, because I'll tell you a note that brings up to me on Dynamite is the whole when Jericho wins his match and decides to go after Ian Riccoboni, and then ends up pile driving Jerry Lynn on the title.
Wrong man got pile driven on that night.
Wrong
man got pile driven.
I concur, but I will move on to this fact. We didn't even. There was almost a TNA-esque to the back after that. It's like a guy just got pile driven on a belt here. He is hurt. You know, I mean, maybe that's just old man Hawkins thinking, you know, back in my day, that'd be at least 3 months out of the business. And it says, and now it's time for our main event. Let's get excited here. I was like, are we going to talk about Jerry Lynn getting his neck broken by Chris Jericho at all? Is that going to be a somber cloud on this main event? Or are we just moving on with our life because this is pro wrestling and this is what it does? And this is why nobody can take it seriously. It's because none of these things have any emotional resonance whatsoever, including the title belts.
Yeah, I mean, if a pile driving a man on title belt spot,
turned his neck. He was training with the Blackpool Combat Club, so he'll be fine next week.
That knowledge is now getting around the locker room, so the pile driver is not going to be very effective in about 6 months' time, Jeff.
Oh, I thought you had a point to follow up with.
No, that was just a punchline.
I will say one positive thing to temper all with the negative stuff I've been saying here. They didn't get much of a match on Dark this week, but I love the Bollywood Boys. I do. I think they're great. I think I watched them on Defy and they were fantastic. I think they they sacrificed themselves to get Randy Orton over in that stupid what's his name? The guy who
Jinder Mahal.
Mahal.
Oh my God. No, they got annihilated over and over again by Randy Orton.
Yes. And I you know, they didn't have the match I thought they might against the Gun Club, but I do like the Bollywood Boys a lot, and I hope they are able to stick around and get some paydays for AEW.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. It is on me. I'm trying to think of Is there anything on NXT that I actually think is worth talking about? We already did the KO show.
Thea Hale's fantastic, but we've already espoused about Chase.
Yeah, no, I Chase U. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought Bodie was very funny. Try to like go Mr. Chase on like even like the cross promotional stuff now with Chase U is funny. Normally I would not be into those like little Chucky vignettes at all, but no, Bodie was very funny. Try to like cut a promo on Chucky. Like
Chucky was cringe all night, but that was at least the good thing.
No, he was cringe in every other circumstance, and it wasn't like what Chucky did there was good. That was all Bodie.
I am upset that we have decided to go Bailey versus Bianca after doing a ladder match. We're really gonna run this back again, and I love both of them. I'm just like, there's no point to this.
We actually talked about the potentiality that this might happen coming out of that ladder match, which is crazy.
And the only other note I had for any wrestling all week, other than Dynamite, which I deconstructed on Wednesday, was I'm very happy to have LA Knight back. Only because
they shouldn't have turned him heel though. They shouldn't have turned him heel.
No, I agree. He has massive babyface potential, and I don't. Once he got out of NXT and you saw that he had babyface potential, why would you turn? Trust me, I get that he's doing an amalgam of The Rock and Stone Cold. I don't care. He can talk. That's all I want is somebody who can talk for once. And yeah, okay, it's patterned. It's silly. It's probably get old quick, but this is far better than him being a male model.
Yeah. And in some slight fairness to him, the thing is really only a thing he came up with midway through his run in NWA.
Yes.
He wasn't like early on, he was kind of still trying to figure it out. So it's like,
if he gets over this way, I have no problem with
it. They shouldn't have turned him. They shouldn't have turned him.
Especially against a stable that they hated, like the models. It's like, okay.
And that end thing where the models are all like, see, we told you so, sort of belied like the absurdity of that particular booking pattern. It was a silly way of going.
I think what they think is that people are going to get behind him like Rock or Stone Cold, and then they're going to turn him babyface and he's going to be white hot. And I think that's
a mistake. Yeah. That's a mistake too. Also, I think a mistake is potentially turning Elias here. I think if you bring back Elias, you got to bring this guy back as a face too.
Chris, you know what
for me, I got to stop you here, Jeff.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I get how for the lay person watching that segment, Matt Riddle is a babyface, good-natured guy, just wants to come and hang out. No. Matt Riddle is a bully and a fascist. When someone prepares a heartfelt serenade for a crowd, Jeffrey, and it's their stage, it's not okay to bring your stupid bongos on stage and try to like work it out and jam a few things from your heart while I'm up there playing, a heartfelt tune to the people of Paducah.
Oh, well, Chris, I thought you were going to make Riddle the heel for possibly offering a creative genius such as Elias pot that might.
Yeah, no, there was also the drugs thing. There was that was God. I hope it doesn't come out that like drugs and music are a thing.
My only hope for this, because I was so looking forward to the whole Elias family being some sort of a feud here, is that the Royal Rumble, Elias has an early number and he goes back and he shaves and he comes out as Ezekiel.
Yes.
For the Royal Rumble. Oh my God. I need this.
And Elron. No, I want Elron too.
Oh, you want Elron too?
Or Elrod? Was it Elrod?
I think it's Elrod, yes.
Yeah, Elrod. Yeah. I couldn't. Enron.
Enron. He sells stock. He's a stockbroker of the family, Chris.
He collapses in the middle of the match.
I have nothing else to talk about. Do you?
I don't think so. The bifurcation of Bray Wyatt thing isn't really working for me.
It's Black Phone, right? Which is on the Peacock, the
horror
movie. Is that this whole thing? Like, I hated that promo. By the way, I liked the promo, but I hated that was a cop out. Either do it straight or don't, and then they use it for heat. I hated that. But this is what it's going to be. It's going to be Bray Wyatt's a nice guy until he puts on the mask, and then he's evil.
Okay. It's the
which is the Ethan Hawke Black Phone movie, I guess. It's set in the 70s. I think that's what the impetus for this gimmick is going to be. And then there might be some wrestlers dressed as these characters from the Playhouse. We're not quite sure yet who. There's the dyad we're talked about with Waller being the Buzzard and Isla Dawn being the Sister Abigail one, or it might be Butch and Vincent from the Kingdom were backstage recently, so that they might be the red shirts here. But it looks like we're gonna get people like Bray, but this new spooky character is the thing that's controlling him.
Okay. So it's almost like it's like Black Phone, but it's also like really the closest he's been to like Waylon Mercy type.
Yes. But the mask is gonna have its own personality, I think.
Oh, and it's also like that other movie, The Mask.
Yes.
Smoke it!
Oh, God. He becomes a comedy baby face who thinks he's in Tex Avery pictures. And he can bring back the giant mallet.
He could do the wolf whistle. Hubba, hubba. Woo,
oh, yeah. He goes with his cousin from the country to a nightclub to watch Little Red Riding Hood sing in Clubhouse. And it's like, well, cousin, I guess I'm going to have to take you back to the city.
I love The Mask. Stanley Ipkiss.
That'll do it for us this week. You can follow me on the Twitter at CrapGame13. You can follow Chris at DWATG. You can just follow the show at Shake Them Ropes, all one word. I retweet when the voices people put us up in there. Make sure you use VOW65 if you want to order HelloFresh.
No more lies.
No more lies, and free shipping as well, and some gifts and some free meals possibly. So that'll be cool.
No more shipping.
No more shipping. Yes. You'll have to come pick it up. I am on Fight Game Media on Wednesdays about 10 minutes after Dynamite ends with Paul Fontaine doing the Dynamite show, where I thoroughly deconstruct every single thing that happened in AEW on that night. Chris also has a Patreon. He's going to tell you about it now.
Don't worry about the government is a show that I have done and will do again at some point. Patreon.com/DWATG is where you can go. $1 a show is all I ask. So if I'm not making shows, don't worry. You're not getting charged. If you want guitar lessons, you can hit me up on Instagram, Instagram.com/doctor, as in like DOCTOR_Nove, NOV, Dr. Nove, on Instagram to see my music and my life and my cats and some photos of my grandpa. And that's basically it. And you can hit me up for music lessons there too.
Yeah, next week, Chris is going to do 30 on women with tattoos.
Women with tattoos.
Your plans? Today it's dinner with the parents at your spot.
We gotta come back here.
Now their spot. Or you're on the edge of your seat at the game.
Come on, just one time.
And it's the one. Or maybe you're catching the next flight to...
Now boarding flight 1850.
Oh, that's you. The choice is yours. And when you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. Music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!